Hello and welcome to EDC 516, Methods for Teaching Bilingual and Multilingual Learners. My name is Dr. Laura Hamman-Ortiz, and I'm an assistant professor of TESOL on bilingual education at the University of Rhode Island. In this video, I'm going to tell you a little bit more about myself and the reason why I do the work that I do, and give you a brief overview of what to expect for this course. So my why, or the reason why I am in the field of bilingual education in ESL, is because I got my start as a classroom teacher, and my first job was teaching second grade in San Antonio, Texas. And it was in that position that I realized I needed more knowledge and tools to be able to effectively support my students. Many of my students were emergent bilinguals. One of my students was a newcomer who had recently arrived from Mexico, and I realized that I needed to have more information, more knowledge, and strategies to be able to effectively support my students who were acquiring English as a new language in my classroom. It was that experience that drove me to graduate school to get my ESL certification. And then I had the experience of teaching in bilingual programs in Santiago, Chile, which drove my interest now in understanding how to design really effective and equity-oriented bilingual programs, which is what my research focuses on. I've been a teacher educator now for a long time. I've worked in many different contexts in many different states. I've worked with teachers in Wisconsin, Colorado, Indiana, and now Rhode Island. So I bring a lot of different perspectives to what it means to do this work and to really center multilingual learners in our teaching. So with that, I'm going to share my screen and tell you a little bit about the course. Right, and what I'm about to share is draws from what is in the syllabus. So I encourage you to spend time really closely reading through the syllabus. I have a separate video where I'll walk through the syllabus with you, but it's important to read that closely so you have a really clear understanding of what we'll be learning in this course, and also assignments and different course expectations. All right, in the syllabus, you will see this course description. This is the beginning part of it, which tells you that this course introduces methods for current or future teachers of bilingual and multilingual learners. And it's grounded in second language acquisition theories and culturally and linguistically responsive pedagogy. And this is really important to me. I want you to know that this is not just a course where you'll be given a list of strategies. I've worked really intentionally to bring together theory and practice so that when you are in your classroom selecting different strategies you want to use to support students, whether it's using sentence frames or TPR, total physical response, or incorporating more visuals or creating a cognate wall, that you're doing these strategies knowing the theory and the research behind them, that you're really intentional and strategic in selecting the different methods or strategies that will support your multilingual learners because you know the why behind them. So throughout this course, we'll continue to come back to different theories and concepts and make those connections really clear. One core concept that I want to emphasize now, but you will hear again throughout the course, is that all teachers are language teachers. That's something that is really important to me as a teacher educator, that teachers understand that if you teach through the medium of language, which all of you do, you are a language teacher. Your students are learning language as they're learning the content. And really effective teachers of multilingual learners pay attention to language in their instruction. They think strategically about how to support their students as they're acquiring that new language, whether it's through reading, writing, speaking, or listening. So all teachers are language teachers. It's also important to recognize that TESOL and bilingual dual language education is not just about language. It's not just about supporting students to learn language. It's really about becoming an advocate for multilingual learners and their families and their communities. We know that our schools and our society are not set up in ways that are equitable for all people, and that language minoritized and minoritized students and their communities face much discrimination in our world today. So part of being a TESOL or bilingual dual language educator is being an advocate, speaking up for our students. And so we'll keep this lens in mind as we continue on in this course as well. And the second part of the course description, I mentioned that this course was also designed really intentionally alongside the tenets of experiential learning, which basically is a fancy word for saying we learn best by doing. I really believe that you will gain more from this course by not just reading about methods, but actually trying them out in your own classroom. And so I have a few different activities that I've embedded in the course as a way to get you, as a way to support you in trying out and thinking about some of what you're learning in relation to actual students and actual teaching contexts. And some of those here you can see in the course assignments. So again, in the syllabus, I can go through this in a bit more detail, but this is just a one-slide visual of the assignments that are a part of this course. You see, for example, that course engagement and participation and the discussion forum are a key component. Because this is an asynchronous online course, it's really important that you engage regularly and consistently and deeply with the readings, the viewings, and the discussion forum. That is our main platform for engaging with one another and for engaging with the course content. So that is why it's a pretty significant part of your grade. There's also one small quiz to make sure you have the basics of theories, methods, and approaches. That's a quiz that you will have multiple opportunities to take. It's designed to be a quiz that everybody can be very successful in because I just want to make sure everyone has a baseline understanding of those things before we move forward in the course. You'll take that quiz early on. You see here in the middle, those four green boxes, those are the application assignments that I've embedded in the course. One is an assignment where you'll be analyzing your own classroom talk. So thinking about the ways in which you create opportunities for students to talk, the types of questions that you ask, the ways you structure discussion. So that'll be, I hope, a fun way for you to kind of think reflectively about your own practice in relation to ORC. We also have a strategy demonstration where you'll try out one of the strategies that you learn about in this course in your own classroom, and then you'll record it, share a piece of it, and reflect on it. We have a lesson and materials adaptation activity where you'll be taking a lesson that you already teach, either one you created or one from your curriculum, and you'll be adapting the materials in the lesson to make it more responsive for multilingual learners. And finally, the professional development project, in which you will design a professional development workshop to be delivered to a real audience, whether it's your colleagues or another group of students, and you'll deliver that as part of this project and then reflect on how it went. And it has to be a topic that's focused on something we cover in this course, something related to supporting multilingual learners. And then finally, you have the major paper in this course, which we'll talk about in subsequent videos as well. This is the major paper that connects to the paper that you began in EDC 501 if you're a certification or a master's student, where you identified a problem. And in this course, you're working on the implementation part of that project. So you're doing the research that you need to do if you haven't already to understand the problem, and then you're implementing an action plan based on what you've learned to try to address the problem. And then the paper will summarize those two components. And again, we'll talk more about that later. If you are not a certification or a master's student, you'll instead be creating an advocacy research paper. And in this paper, you will be researching a topic related to advocacy for multilingual learners, and then writing your paper about what you've learned. All right, so again, we'll talk about all of these in more detail as we approach each one of these assignments in the course, but this just gives you a whole picture look at what to expect. Our course text for this class is Scaffolding Language, Scaffolding Learning by Pauline Gibbons. We will be using the second edition, so be sure to buy the second edition. This is a fantastic resource, and I think Pauline Gibbons does an excellent job really bringing together theory and practice. There are lots and lots of examples of how to support multilingual learners in this text, but everything is really closely grounded in what we know from theory and research. So I think it's a really wonderful resource text for you to use in this course, but also hopefully as you continue in your teaching. And finally, here is my contact information. As I mentioned in the syllabus, the best way to reach me is through a message in Brightspace. But if that's not working, you're welcome to also email me. Here's my email. I'll do my best to get back to you in a timely manner if you have questions or want to set up a time to meet. I don't have set office hours because I have found in the past that sometimes the hour that I choose isn't actually an hour that works for everybody. So what I have done instead is I now have office hours by appointment. you can send me an email, and then I'm happy to set up a time to meet either via Zoom or in my office, 714 Chafee on the Kingston campus. So that is it for now. Again, I'm really looking forward to meeting you and working with you this semester, and I can't wait to get started.